Welcome back to my channel at The Movie Optimist, where I find the silver linings in even the worst of films. Today I want to talk a little bit about the new trailer for Predator Badlands. When they first made the Predator movie that came out a couple years ago, not Prey, the one before that, the one with Boyd Holbrook and Olivia Munn, I was really excited to see them get back to basics, and I was really disappointed with that film. I thought it was really weak. It wasn't very scary. It wasn't thrilling the way that the original was, or even Predator 2. Even Predators was better than that newer one from 2018, and when they announced Prey and how it was going to take place hundreds of thousands of years ago and the Predator would essentially be fighting off against a Native American woman, I was skeptical because I was like, man, that's kind of weird pitting a Predator against people that literally fight with rocks, sticks, and bows and arrows. And it wound up being incredible, and it was really a testament to the fact that it was a much smaller production. Therefore, they weren't able to rely on a ton of green screen and CGI and futuristic weaponry. They had to rely solely on story and performance and brute force, and it wound up being one of my favorite Predator movies of all time, just behind the first Predator. Its small location and use of practical effects really grounded you in this visceral Predator movie that was super violent, and seeing the weaponry that these Predators used even thousands of years ago was really cool. It put a different spin on the Predator that we haven't seen before, but it felt equally as badass. I remember after seeing that Predator, I started thinking to myself, they should just make anthology Predator films where he's fighting different warriors from across time. One where they're fighting in feudal Japan, one where they're fighting Vikings, one when they're fighting Navy pilots in the 1940s. And the reason why I'm saying all those three things is because turns out we are actually getting that in a smaller animated anthology show where every episode is going to be dedicated to a Predator fighting a different iconic warrior from our time. And that is really exciting. Although I do wish we got it in live action, I'm happy that we're getting it nonetheless. So the other day they dropped Predator Badlands trailer. And on one hand, I think it looks really badass, but on the other hand, I'm a little worried with the scope that they're going for here, because the first one was done as a straight-to-streaming movie. It had a very small budget, very small crew, not a lot of CGI, and because of that, it was so effective because they had to rely on doing everything as practically as possible, whereas in here, Hulu and Disney were clearly very happy with how Prey did, that they decided to put this movie in theaters and give it an IMAX release where it was shot on IMAX cameras. And the trailer is kind of a CGI fest. I mean, you see this Predator fighting this massive alien monster where essentially the story is this Predator is outcast from his tribe and he has to go off and prove himself, and along the way he's aided by what appears to be an android woman. I don't know if maybe she's just from the future and this is how humans are, but given the thing that she does with her eyes, I'm thinking that she's an android and she's going to aid the Predator on his quest. And the Predator himself looks really effing cool. He is definitely a unique design, which I have to constantly remind myself at the end of the day, because when I first saw the Predator I was like, oh, that doesn't look like the Predator from the Arnold movies or any of the other movies, but then I'm like, but these creatures are their own thing. They live on a planet much like Earth where they all look like a predator, but they all have distinct qualities and traits about them that make them look different than each other, just like human beings do. So when I let that sink in, I really appreciated the design. It's not something we've seen before, and it looks really unique, and he looks like a total badass. I am excited to see him go off and prove himself and fight all these other predators. I think that's really cool, but I really hope that they don't lose that intimacy that came with a smaller setting. I hope that Dan Trachtenberg, who's the director of both Prey, this animated show that's coming out, and Badlands, I hope that this bigger budget doesn't get to his head and he goes full CGI fest, because I hate watching movies that make me feel like I'm watching video game cutscenes. It just doesn't look good. Even when the CGI is so good, I'd much rather a villain be there practically than a million Thanoses. And don't get me wrong, I love Thanos, but it's not something I want to see in every movie where every villain is a CG animated character. Now, Dan Trachtenberg has done nothing but prove himself in this franchise. He clearly knows what makes Predator work. Clearly, he knows what we want after seeing the animated movie trailer, and it seems like he really just wanted to elevate this franchise to new heights where the Predator is taking on bigger and badder things. But again, I just hope that this budget doesn't go to his head and we get this big sloppy CGI fest and it's devoid of the heart that was in Prey. Because if it's just the Predator and an android woman, then the heart is going to come from us getting on board with the Predator and caring about him as a character, and that's not something we've ever really done before. They try to make it happen with Alien vs. Predator, where we're supposed to care for the Predator at the end, but it was so devoid of character that it was hard to really root for him. Really, we were just rooting for the human teaming up with the Predator, whereas in here, it seems like we're supposed to root for him. So I'm really curious to see how they're going to go about that and how they're going to tackle that. For me personally, I think all these horror monsters, these iconic franchises, studios need to go back to these smaller, confined settings. They keep trying to make these Terminator films that are super futuristic and sci-fi and epic, but really what they need to do is go back to a horror-grounded setting where it's like a woman escaping a Terminator through a high-rise, where it all takes place in this one building, and this Terminator's just hunting her, and she's going floor to floor trying to travel and get away from him, and he's just hunting her through this apartment building. It's small, it's horrific. You have a couple extra people in there for the Terminator to kill. That's kind of what they did with Prey, where it was really small and intimate, and it took place in this small setting in the woods. That's what they should do with Alien, although I did love Alien Romulus. They did a great job with that. But that was also a smaller, intimate setting where it all takes place on this small ship. We don't need globe-trotting monster movies. Just make it small cast, small crew, more intimate, put a lot more heart into it, and you'll have success just like Prey and Alien Romulus did. Anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below, guys. Are you excited for Predator Badlands? Are you a little reserved the way I am, and you're worried that this bigger budget and this CGI monster that they show this Predator fighting at the end is going to detract from the quality of this movie? Let's talk about it in the comments down below. Anyway, guys, I hope you have a great rest of your week, and I'll catch you next time.